Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Hey everyone, I am here with Rodger Bumpass, the voice of Squidward from SpongeBob SquarePants. Rodger, thank you for being here.
Always a pleasure to be anywhere, but especially with you guys.
Would you mind just starting out to tell our fans a little bit about who you are and maybe how you got the role of Squidward?
Well, I'm Rodger Bumpass, as you say. I can prove it. I have a driver's license. And it was just another audition many, many years ago. I think this was just after the Civil War when we started this show. And we did it. I did the audition, got the job. We did the pilot. I got a copy of the show, took it home to my parents and showed it to them, and they fell asleep. So no one knew, it was going to be what it actually turned out to be. But he's used to be my alter ego, and now he's actually my ego. So I'm actually pretending to be him. Now he is me.
Well, I mean, the show's been running for it's like the 5th longest running animated show. Yeah, crazy.
Who's ahead of us besides the Simpsons?
Okay,
I don't know.
I was going to mention Arthur is ahead of you, and they just finished. So you guys, you have the lead now. You can jump them and get 4th.
Jump them.
I don't know if Simpsons are ever going to end, so I don't know if you're going to.
Yeah.
You can outtake them, but Arthur's done, so you have that shot now.
They're falling by the wayside. Come on now.
So at what point while you were making this show did you realize Squidward was now going to be part of your life forever? Like what was your moment?
It was about 2 years into the show that I just casually mentioned that I worked on this show to somebody on the street, and their eyes got big, huge, and they invariably say, "No way, you guys are so hip." And this was a millennial, so I didn't even know they used the word hip still. And so I thought we were kind of onto something. Then I saw all the merchandise, and I said, I think I'm going to start a collection, because it's just in every category of every store you were going to go into. And I thought, this is catching on. This may be the right show for the right time. It's silliness. It's kind of a throwback to Looney Tunes. They're both 11-minute cartoons and not half hours. And they appeal to little kids, teenagers, adults, and there's no age limit for it. So funny is funny. And I just think it's such a wonderful thing to be a part of something like this. Especially, I had not been on a cartoon in my career that lasted more than 4 years. And that was Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego. And this one just zoomed right on past that. Wow.
I mean, yeah, that is the difference between SpongeBob and a lot of other shows is it took off. It was a massive success, and it's still going. And that's, I think, it skyrocketed in fame, which is something not a lot of other shows get, which is, obviously so special for you guys. My next question for you, Tom Kenny, voice of SpongeBob since the beginning, OG with you, once said that Squidward is his favorite character of the entire show, which obviously begs the question, who is Squidward's favorite character?
I don't want to be self-serving, but I think Squidward is my favorite. Mainly because of his range. He is a frustrated would-be artist and never gets any respect, not appreciation, no good pay, underwater, all that stuff. But he's the sarcastic observer of the world around him, and he goes from that to completely overwhelmed by the world around him and goes apoplectic. So I've got this wonderful range that I can play in. It's very therapeutic. I have saved a bunch of money on psychiatry fees.
See, I was expecting Tom Kenny's great, SpongeBob too. Like we're best bros. I love that you're just like, no, Squidward's the number one. He's my favorite.
One of the things also, you talked about generational stuff. One of the things that we get an awful lot at Comic-Cons are young people like yourself that just started a family. They have some kids now, and they're getting to where they watch the show also. But the parents come in and thank us for their childhood. And I thought, what a wonderful multi-generational thing, because some people got married early in life back in the late 90s, and now they have grandchildren. So we are on potentially a 3-generational move here. So it's just to be a part of someone's childhood, which is what the thing I would have said to Mel Blanc if I ever could have met him. He chaperoned me through my childhood, and I still think he's the funniest ever. So to be put in that kind of a category for young adults, say thank you for helping us through childhood. And there's another thing here. Awful lot of people, is a familiar story, will say when they were kids, they identified with SpongeBob because he's innocent and playful and childlike. Then when they get to be in their 20s and they see what real adult life is like, they become identifying with Squidward. It's an old story, and it's absolutely true.
I mean, if any character on that show is relatable, at least like to my generation now, it's Squidward. I mean, like you said, yeah, you kind of relate to SpongeBob growing up, but now it's Squidward.
Yeah, he just represents the transition from childhood to adulthood, and what to most people does happen to them. There is disappointment, there is unappreciation, but there's also success too. He's won a couple of times.
You remember, I mean, number one of all time, Band Geeks. So you can remember the few times Squidward does win. So my next question is, Squidward appears in a lot of other media besides the TV show, the movies, theme parks, video games, and you always voice him. Aside from like kids Squidward, you are always the voice, which doesn't happen a lot. A lot of actors will do the main project and they'll recast for like a video game spinoff type of thing and just get someone who sounds like the main actor. But you're always Squidward. So what's the mentality there? Why do you always want to voice Squidward?
I always want to be Squidward because I'm selfish. I do not share my character. One of the most wonderful things we got to see was the Broadway premiere of the SpongeBob musical. And I loved it. It's absolutely tremendous, tremendous performance. But I sat there wanting to be on stage. I couldn't share my character with this guy.
Did you ever try?
Who did a superb thing. No, I wasn't asked to do that. Tom Kenny actually did a little cameo as Patch the Pirate, I understand, which would be so cool. But yeah, I want to do it. Besides, it's a paycheck, you know.
Okay, I mean, that's
why let somebody else do it? Why let somebody else do the character when you might not be as good? So you know, I'm just a little selfish, I guess. It's not my character anyway. It's Nickelodeon's, but I mean, I glom onto him.
No, Squidward is your character. I think everyone agrees on that. And Squidward actually was once played in live action, aside from the Broadway musical. He was played in live action once, and it was by you. And so for the people who might not know, the cast got together and recreated some of SpongeBob's best moments, and they played their own characters in live action, but without CGI or prosthetics or anything. It was just the actors playing their characters. Can you tell the fans a little bit about what that experience was and what it was like?
There's only one word, and that is surreal. We were sitting in the lobby of the trustee slab, and I have been, of course, with these guys for 22 years, listening to them do their characters behind me and beside me and whatever, and nothing strange. But being in costume in a situation that's supposed to be the Krusty Krab and having them do characters in somewhat costume, it was just absolutely the Twilight Zone. It was we had to all stop and say, that was really strange, you know. So it was a wonderful to try to actually look like Squidward. In fact, some people say I do. I hate it when they say that though.
Did you learn anything? Like when you were being Squidward, you're like, maybe I should bring this to the show, or like this was fun to translate from the show into real life. Like, was there any learning moments from it?
No, there wasn't a learning moment as much as there was applying what I already know about Squidward in the visual.
Yeah,
you know, that was the challenge, you know, to have those droopy eyelids and that no care sarcastic look. That was the big challenge, and I did that all the way through. But we were shooting or not, I was trying to be Squidward as best I can, method acting, you know.
You're a method actor through and through.
I don't know if it's the right method, but I am a method actor.
Yeah. Cool. So eventually, I mean, we talked a bit, it's gonna surpass Arthur, it's gonna keep going, but eventually it's gonna end. It might be Simpsons where it goes, 50 years, who knows? But when it does, if we get like a time jump, we get to see in the future, what do you hope Squidward's gonna be doing when in the future of SpongeBob, when we move on?
I mean, in the Krusty Krab, Bikini Bottom's life, what Squidward would be doing?
Yeah,
or
is he
in
still
our
that
life?
Krusty Krab the rest of his life? Does he move on? Like, what's next for Squidward? Would you hope?
He would dress up as the Krakatoa guy and check in at the nursing home, the same thing that Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy did, and he would end his days like that, having chamomile tea. And sitting there watching House Fancy and complaining about the world, like everybody does.
I love it, and he probably have the clarinet.
He would always have that.
Did you ever play the clarinet? Did you like? It's been 20 years. Were you ever like, I need to connect with Squidward more, I'm gonna play the clarinet?
I have never tried.
Never.
The closest I have come is to sign the clarinet bells for people at Comic-Cons.
Okay.
And I've done many of those. But yeah, I never even put my lips on that thing to try to make a note. I know how awful it would sound. So I know my limits. I'm staying in my lane on that one.
So then you don't play the clarinet in the show, like when Squidward plays it, that's not you.
No, I don't play the clarinet in the show. We have an accomplished musician that comes in, and you have to be very, very good to be very bad, apparently. So he plays very good.
So you hired like a professional clarinet player to come in and not be good at playing clarinet.
Oh yeah.
I like that they had the option with the professional to just have Squidward be a professional, but they're like, we're gonna make it terrible. He's not gonna be able to play it.
Yeah. Well, he can gravitate sometimes. If you'll listen to his playing, it actually does sound kind of melodic, where it doesn't need to be absolutely bad so everybody throws up. Yeah. But every so often he'll just kind of just add something in there that's pretty cool. And so we have to have the versatility from our real clarinetist.
That's crazy. I know. I would have expected you were just in there going crazy.
It wouldn't even be that good the way you hear it.
Kind of the point, though, right? Okay, so next, you come to Comic-Cons a lot. What is the most quoted line you get? People are like, "You're Squidward," and say their favorite line. What do you get?
The most quoted line that I ever get at Comic-Cons is not even Squidward's line. Is mayonnaise an instrument? Or are you done with those errands? Not even my lines.
So people are more wanting you to like role play with them. They're saying the first part, exactly. You say the second part.
In the mayonnaise thing, if you remember the bits, I say, no, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument. And he holds his hand up, and I say, horseradish is not an instrument either. And he lowers his hands. Fans will do that constantly. They'll play the whole gag for us.
Okay, I think that's fine, because they're not taking your thunder. You're still Squidward to them. Like
But they always love it when I responded that it's not mayonnaise, and I use it in my videos. I do these little cameo videos, and I always add that thing in there as a kicker at the end of some sort of video. So it's one of the most well-known lines, I think, in the entire run. And it's one of the best shows, most fan favorite shows, Band Geeks. Which, by the way, that song at the end, "Sweet Sweet Victory," the writers stumbled upon that song and thought it was so silly that they made the entire episode just to get to that song.
Real? That's why the episode.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It reminds me of the old Rocky and Bullwinkle company, Jay Ward company, that would do these fractured fairy tales, and they would come up with a pun of a saying, and then make the entire episode reach that pun at the end. So that's what we did for Band Geeks.
Wow, because it's interesting, because that's like one of the most iconic episodes ever.
Oh yeah, it's fans' favorites.
They almost wrote it as a bit, because they're like, we like this song, we want to build up to this song, and then it ended up being like the most iconic episode there's ever been. Yeah,
and like I say, it has some of the more iconic lines, and it has a moment in there that I just loved. Right before they go on, they're backstage, and then Squilliam comes up to taunt them, and he says, "Is that your band?" And they cut over to the band, and SpongeBob is going, and he cut back to me and goes, "That's his eager face." You know, it's just one of those little moments that I love.
Your favorite?
Yeah.
And so favorites, is Band Geeks your favorite? What is your favorite? I mean, obviously there's so many, it might be hard to pick, but what are your favorite episodes?
I like Dying for Pie, because Tom and I have a nice chemistry when we were just doing one-on-one stuff. And that show had a lot of that back and forth kind of stuff. So I like that. It had good gags in it. Dying for Pie, the hash slinging slasher, and another one, the later show called Goons on the Moon, where they go up in Stanley's rocket to the moon, and Squidward stows away, and he gets lost outside on the moon in a cave, and he keeps sticking his head through a hole trying to find his way out. And every time he does that, it's an entirely different universe. It's at the inside of a guitar or something like that, you know. And the third time he does it, he comes out in the artist's computer of an animator at Nickelodeon.
Okay.
And I had the great idea, and then they let me do it, to actually be the animator.
Oh, so that's cool.
He sticks his head out, sees that, screams, I see that, and I scream, and it's exactly the same scream.
Yeah.
So it's our little Easter egg kind of thing for the fans.
That's so cool. I love. So that was your idea, Hole in Hole, is to actually be in the episode.
Once I saw the script, I went, this would be a nice little inside joke kind of thing, and they let me do it. So
you're like, if there's already an animator, I might as well be that animator.
Yeah, just to have the same weirdness to it. Again, surreal.
Cool. So my last question here for you is, out of all the Squidward roles you've taken on, the TV shows, the movies, the theme parks, the video games, What's your favorite?
Well, you know, as far as the media goes, the TV show is much more relaxed. When you do a movie version, it's great to be doing a feature, yeah, but everything's more important. Everything's bigger, and yeah, you gotta pick and shovel a lot more to make everything just right. So it's a little more hard work. But the show is very, very relaxed. We know our characters, and we get to do incidental characters, also the one of a kind things that we can just throw stuff out there and it's gone. And sometimes it's very, very funny. But I like the games. Video games are tough to do because you have to account for every possible choice the player makes. Especially if you're gonna a wartime thing, you have to be you're fighting and you're getting hit and you're getting shot and you're dying a little and then you're dying a lot and then you're dead. And you have to do all the possibilities, you know, and it just racks your throats. Video game. Plus, no residuals, people. Anyway, but I think that, yeah, but I think the TV show is by far the most fun right now.
Well, that was all the questions I had for you. So, Rodger, thank you so much for stopping by.
Certainly, anytime. I have nowhere to go.